Hey everybody, this is Steve Hopkins with Bowmar Sports and Butterfly. I've got Kanak Jha. How you doing, Kanak?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you.
So I appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your schedule. You're in Germany, which is why it's dark there, right? What time is it?
That is correct. Good question. It's late evening time here. I want to say 10 o'clock. Yeah, 10 p.m. In the night. So bit
Um,
ahead of you guys.
so I'm going to ask you a couple tough questions, and then I'm going to do my normal thing of throwing softballs at you, and we'll go from there. But let's go back just a little bit, and we're going to talk suspension and then talk comeback. So give me kind of a quick overview of what happened that had you out of table tennis for the last year.
Um, yeah, so like many professional athletes on the world scene, I'm part of it's international kind of doping requirements as well as the US national doping requirements called the USADA. And I'm part of a testing pool where I could be tested at any time, any place, anywhere, 24/7, 365. And unfortunately, I was unable to be at the location the testers came at for a total of 3 times, which counted as suspension in their books.
All right. And ultimately, they gave you what length of suspension? How long were you gone?
I was gone, well, around 16 months.
All right, and absolutely just missing tests. You're not pumping up with steroids or full of anything. You still look like the same Connacht to me, about the same size.
Really? Some people told me I got bigger after the suspensions. I was hoping to hear that, but no, pretty no, it was just missing tests.
All right, and what did you do over the suspension? Like, what happens to a table tennis player when you're not allowed to play in big tournaments? What did you do?
Um, to be honest, actually the suspension it's quite strict training rules as well. So it's not just out of competition. It's there's also quite a few training rules in place. So it was the time went really quickly, to be honest. For myself personally, I moved to Sweden when I was 15 years old, and ever since then, it's kind of been like a nonstop go action for me, just constantly competing, traveling, yeah, being everywhere. So it was a nice time in some ways. Obviously, it's not ideal, but I had time to be away from the sport, kind of refresh my mind, work on some injuries I had sustained through the years, and also work on my body, get stronger, spend some time at home with my family. So, yeah, that's kind of the rundown of
Were
how it went.
were you still playing every day, or did you kind of limit training as well?
I was actually injured going into the suspension, so it was in a way, and that way it was a bit of a positive because I had a lot of time to work my body. There was no stress to come back because honestly, the schedule as a table tennis player is really hectic now with when you combine the for most players they play in the against the league somewhere and then combine that with international schedule. The schedule is pretty hectic, so I had no stress with my recovery time to come back healthy and good. So I spent a lot of time there just working my body and slowly played when I could and around 2 months before my suspension ended, I could train again quite normally, and then I started to really ramp up the TT and get back into a TT shape.
So how do you think you've been playing compared to where you were when you stopped?
It's a good question.
They get paid for the good
I can
questions.
yeah, yeah. that yeah, it is a good question. So hope to get paid well. It was I had low expectations coming back. I didn't expect to come back that strong. The main goal for me the entire time I was out was the Paris Olympics. that's the biggest event by far for all of us table tennis athletes, and especially being from the US, it's the only event pretty much where you're getting some national coverage, you're getting coverage on the television, people are watching it. So that was the main focus. I performed in both the trials really successfully to come back, which I did really well, and I actually played really well as well in WTT. I won a Düsseldorf feeder event, which was quite strong. So I'm very happy with how I came back. I didn't expect to come back so well like I did. To compare to before, it's really hard to say. I try not to honestly compare too much because sometimes that can mess with your head a bit when you think, I was playing better before, or now it's not going the same. So I just try to take it step by step, be better each day. I was playing really well in 2022. It was the strongest year for myself, I'd say, in my career. I broke into the top 20. So honestly, that just gives me confidence because I know what I'm capable of, and I know I'm ready to go to do it again.
So I think you managed to put off qualifying to the very last match at the last day at the last event. How many times were you questioning whether or not you were actually going to make it to the top of that hill? Give me kind of like what was going on mentally when day one you fall out, and well, I mean, I guess it was day two, but you know, event one you fall out, and now you're down to what I think was literally the last option, right? You had to win that bracket on those 2 days. You had to win every single match that you were playing. You had some tough people there. What was going through your head?
Yeah, I mean, I want to just keep it exciting for you guys watching at home. No, but going into both the trials events, the US trials and the Pan American trials, I always saw myself at Paris. I somehow knew I had to be there. I mean, I've just kind of visualized it for so long. I knew I had to be there, but at the same time, the trials is very dangerous. Everything is possible. Heading into the Pan American trials, I knew it would be very tough. I mean, the best player in Pan America, as well as playing there, they're very passionate players. They give everything, and yeah, I lost the first tournament. There's two tournaments to qualify. I had to win one of them. I lost the first one, so I had one more chance, and this was the only chance for myself. It was very stressful, to be honest. I played very poorly in the first event throughout the entire event. So I was feeling not more unsure than normal, I would say, because I knew I had to step up now. I have a lot of experience. I played in big matches before. I played under the pressure before, so I kind of relied on that a bit, and I kind of went into the second event just wanting to enjoy myself a bit more, play as well as I could, and whether I qualified or not, just kind of appreciate the moment, appreciate the fact that I can have a chance to compete for the Paris Games, and I felt I did step up better in the second tournament, and I think it showed more my mental strength than anything else because, like I said, the trial is dangerous. Anything can happen. But now that I've gone through it, it's going to give me a lot of positive momentum going into Paris.
All right, so we may get back to that here in a minute, but let me ask you German team stuff. So you are now with a new squad, and if I understood correctly from following stuff, you actually were like kind of traded to some other team that you never got to play for, and then got moved to what I guess is a third team for you now, right? But where are you now?
Mhm. Yeah, 'cause currently I play for TTC Schwalbe Neustadt. It's kind of a long name for the American tongue, but I'm really happy to be part of this club. It's very, let's say it's a kind of a family-oriented club, and it's a really nice club. The supporters are really, really passionate there. So it's a lot of fun to play there, first of all, and my teammates are really great. Not just players, really good players, but really great people. So it's fun to be part of this team. And I joined the team kind of near the end of the season, around March time. The season ends also in March time, in March, April time. So I just played like the last 3, 4 matches, I want to say. But already the season was quite strong for our club. They did really well with just 3 players, and now that I joined, I hope next season we can fight for playoffs. Like you guys know, the German league, it's so strong. Every team is stacked. It's just world-class players on each team. So we have a good chance. We'll see what happens, but it's a lot of fun to be part of this team, and it's I hope you guys tune in next season because I think it'll be a lot of nice matches.
So it's good chance like Final Four, or is good chance like we're gonna win half our matches.
Hopefully, chance to go to playoffs. Like I said, the league it's so strong that the season's also very long, so you never know what will happen. There's also a lot of unforeseen things. They have injuries, perhaps other clubs sign somebody, but we'll try our best. We have a really good team. Just to clarify, it's myself, Benedict Duda. He actually just won the contender in Mendoza. Shout out to him. Roman Ruiz from France and Adrien Racinfos from Belgium. So maybe you guys know the names, but it's a nice team to be on, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
So you said family oriented team. Does that mean that it's a close team, or that there's a whole bunch of dudas around?
Yeah, actually, the both you could
Oh,
say. Yeah, we have Benedict Duda's brother is the coach. I got to know him now recently. Very nice guy, and the manager is also Father Benedict Duda. But I mean, I meant more the club in general. It's really the people there are very welcoming. That's kind of what I meant by a family club, and the atmospheres are really great in our home matches. So that's what kind of I meant.
and you get to train with these guys regularly, and that benefits your game, right?
Definitely. This, like I said, the German league season, it's pretty not hectic, but it's pretty stacked. We got a lot of match dates, so we spend a lot of time together as a team. We spend a lot of time preparing matches, spending time in between matches, training together. So we'll be spending a lot of time with them for sure.
All right. So back to how you're going to be spending your time. Between now and Paris, what do you have on your agenda? What's Connacht's life going to look like between now and then?
Between now and then, what it's going to look like is a lot of time in table tennis halls practicing. Um, I think that around the end of July, the Paris games start. Got two more events still before that. Upcoming next week is the WTT Star Contender in Slovenia, and of course, I have the U.S. Nationals, which I'll be joining after a while in Alabama. So the main focus is Paris, spending a lot of hard training, kind of working on my game a bit. I had the chance now to play three events back to back in these last 3 weeks, so it was great in a way also just kind of put myself out there, play a lot of matches. For me, every match I can just gain from it. And now it's time for some hard training before Paris.
All right. So once you get past Paris and you get to start focusing, once you've banked your bronze or silver medal and all that stuff, and you're then moving on. What are you looking for in your next 5 years? What's kind of your short term table tennis life plan here? Where are you headed next?
Well, Steve, I mean, I'm 24 years old, so 5 years, not that short term for myself, but 5 years, that also encompasses 2028, the 2028 Olympic Games, which is in Los Angeles. That's always been like the overhanging goal for myself because that's just such a special event. I don't get to play much at home in the international events, being from the US and have the LA 2028 Olympic Games. That's really special. That's even my home state. And I'll be at a really should be at a prime age kind of then mentally and physically 28 years old. So that's the first thing that comes to mind when you say the next 5 years. The next is just to keep going to be the best player I can be. I mean, you never know what the future holds. I've definitely learned that throughout my years, but I'm just gonna keep going, keep discipline. I think a lot of people are behind me in the U.S., which I take a lot of comfort from. I know I'm representing a lot of you people out there watching the sport. To have somebody in the top from the U.S. is it gives a lot of kids motivation growing up to play this game. It gives a lot of people who follow the sport somebody to cheer on. So that's also something really special to myself. And try to be the best player I can be. Try to reach as high a ranking as I can. Try to make as much money, of course, as I can. And yeah, that's kind of how I see the next 5 years.
All right, so shifting gears just a little bit, and we'll probably run this for another 3-4 minutes. So in butterfly news, Timo Boll announced his retirement here recently, and I seem to remember that you were using that Timo Boll ALC blade, at least back in the day. You've now moved to something different. What are you playing with now?
Right now, I'm using the Super Viscara ALC, the same rubber combination before, which means Dignix 05 on the forehand side and Tenergy 19 on the backhand.
All right, so let me ask about that as someone who doesn't have professional arm speed and all of these things. So most of the time when I see Dignix 05 out in the professional circuit, guys are using it on their backhand. And I haven't seen a whole lot of the Tenergy rubbers on the backhand. How do you see those surfaces and how they react to being ideal for your game? Why have you chosen those?
I mean, well, first I gotta mention, it might seem a bit biased coming to the interview, but I mean it completely honestly. It's really easy to pick when you're choosing from butterfly products because they're all such high quality. You got a long list of blades that are all able to perform at the world-class level. That's why you see so much variety in the top players. They can use so many different products from butterfly, and they're all the best of the best, the cream of the crop. With saying that, I actually am starting with the forehand. I used to use Tenergy 05 hard on the forehand. It has a bit of a direct effect on the ball. That makes sense. A little less curve, but more power. And it was a great rubber. I used it for many years. And I was just thinking I wanted to try something with a little more curve, a little more arc, especially when you're playing larger arenas. The ball moves slower. You need a little bit more power. I felt I was looping a lot kind of in the net or net out. And that's why I changed to Digging 05 and 4, and it gave me that increased arc with still having great speed. For the backhand, a lot of people ask me about Tenergy 19 because it's not so commonly used from what I've seen at least. I believe, I could be wrong, probably the only world-class player using it at this time, but I could be wrong. I definitely think it's a rubber more people should try. I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook it. I used to use the Tenergy 05 on the backhand side, and I switched when Tenergy 19 normally directly came out. I really liked it has a very nice control, at the same time a really good like kind of catapult effect. And you can really dig into the ball a little bit more quite aggressively. My game, it's a lot speed based, but I still need on the backhand side a lot of control because I'm using the opponent's power a lot. And I feel that Tenergy 19 gives me a really great balance between using speed and power, but just keeping the control. So that's why I chose my
And
rubber combination.
it's a little flatter arc on the backhand than like Dignix 05, even Tenergy 05, right?
Yeah, it's hard for me to compare because I've used Tenergy 19 now for so long that I've almost forgotten a bit how the other rubbers feel. The Dignix 05, I think, apart from the 9C, which is a completely different rubber on its own, but in terms of the other rubbers, 05, I think is the best rubber on the back end for the looping, kicking, top spinning. It has such a great arc on the ball, and you can produce a lot of quality, a lot of spin. So that's why I think, like you said, a lot of players use Dignix 05 on the backhand side. Actually, they use it on the forehand side a lot as well. It's just a great rubber overall. Uh, for myself, I also utilize the flat block quite a bit, either a normal straight block or kind of a punch block. And I just feel with Tenergy 19, it gives me more control with that particular technique compared to the 05. But yeah, that's just specifically for my game.
So I had somebody ask me. I went around and I said, "What question should I ask for Kanak?" And
Mhm.
I had somebody say, "Ask him what players he has tried to emulate. Who has the skills that he's tried to, pick up and keep and use as a part of, his skill set." Do you have anybody that you've tried to emulate over the years, or are you specifically you?
I mean, I love watching table tennis. I've watched countless hours. Growing up, it was pretty much my favorite pastime. You mentioned Timo Boll retiring earlier. It's kind of almost a bit of a sad day because he was such a inspiration to me, especially in my early years growing up. I watched so many hours him playing. For those of you watching this, the OGs, they'll know the YouTube channel TT Continents. That was a classic channel back when I was growing up. I used to watch. Now currently, I watch so much table tennis that I kind of see all players, but I mostly just take kind of little things here and there from things that I notice from each player, especially regarding the placements or certain combinations they make. Every game, my game is all world-class players and players in general. They have to create their own game. Everyone has their own strengths, weaknesses. They have their own body type, their own skills they utilize. But I just try to pick up on small things here and there. I've also been quite fortunate. I've been part of some really world-class training groups through the years, so I've had a chance to practice and play against most of the top players at this point. And there's always things you notice playing with them and being around them that you can't always see on the video. And yeah, I wouldn't say any particular player, just kind of small things from each player I kind of just pick up and like to experiment with.
All right, Connor, that's probably a pretty good place to stop. So I appreciate you taking the time here. By the time people see this, we will have had, a written version of an article out about you as well. So this is going to be leading into the nationals a little bit. But good luck when you're back playing here in the U.S. And we look forward to seeing you make a good run at the Olympics.
Thank you so much, guys, for all you coming to Alabama. Excited to see you there. I'm really excited to play at nationals after a long period being unable to play it, and yeah, then focus eyes on Paris.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.